when we talk about resilience, resilience is not really about dealing with a situation or a challenge. It is more about the ability to continue growing, to continue innovating, to continue delivering. And this is what UAE has proven during this current crisis. For us, the energy security is built on a certain amount of pillars. And the key is two aspects. One is to diversify. The other is to have a long-term vision and plan. The main pillars that we have built our energy strategy on is we are still heavily dependent on your conventional fossil fuel-based energy. However, we have diversified and we have included nuclear energy. We are doing excellent when it comes to renewable energy, both solar and wind. We are working heavily on energy efficiency. All of this combined with a advanced infrastructure that is digitally enabled and AI enabled. This gives us the robustness and the resiliency in our energy system that we are proud of and are keen to continue doing. Of course, I'll give you a few examples. Baraka nuclear plant, the first of its kind in the region. It's delivering more than 20% of the electricity demand in the country. We have the Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park, the largest of its kind on a global level, delivering around 5 gigawatts of capacity. Also, on top of that, we are implementing, first of its kind, a 24/7 renewable energy project that is powered by battery storage. So these are key examples of what we are able to do or what we are actually having in the pipeline. Where does it come from? It comes from vision. When I talk about vision, one thing that I always remember was going back to the year 2006. 2006 was when Masdar was formed. Masdar was formed through the directives of our president, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, hafidhahullah, where he decided to bet on renewable energy. Back then, there were a lot of questions. Why develop a technology that is 5 or 6 folds more expensive than your kilowatt hour you produce through fossil fuel? The answer is evident today. In 2016, a kilowatt hour from solar was costing us around 5 cents. 2022, the lowest, 1.32 cents. The vision was there. He drove that vision, and we delivered. To drive massive transformations, governments usually fail to do that. And it is because the governments can't do it by themselves. The government can provide all the necessary support, eliminate barriers, provide regulatory and policy support for investors. However, the private sector is needed is because the private sector brings along innovation, technology, and execution, and investments. So this is basically the model that we've seen and the opportunities that we've seen in the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure, simply because we have so many sectors under our ministry. I'll give you a few examples. We saw an opportunity where we wanted to drive one of our mandates. The mandate is to reduce the emissions in our buildings, in the federal buildings. So what did we do is we reached out to the private sector. And we actually came up with a model where the private sector invests over 1 billion dirhams and results in saving of around 30% of energy consumed in 445 government buildings. The beauty about it is that the government puts zero capital, and the private sector recovers their cost over a 10 years period from the savings that they achieve. So, in other words, the private sector has to prove its technology in order to get paid. We tick a lot of boxes with this. First, we drive our mandate. Second, we attract foreign direct investment. Third, we create jobs. This is from the government side. From the private sector side, they have a chance to showcase their innovation, to prove their technologies, and to execute projects that has reasonable returns. It's a win-win situation. And that's how we've been approaching the private sector.
Mutually beneficial and extremely lucrative for the private sector from what you've described there. And the UAE is, as we said, is playing a leading role in the global energy transition through initiatives like COP28, UAE Consensus, and the Global Energy Efficiency Alliance, to which you are key, Your Excellency. What role can the UAE play in accelerating international collaboration, and what can other countries learn from the UAE's approach to balancing energy security, affordability, and sustainability?
I think on a global platform, and as you are aware, COP28 was a massive success. There were two major outcomes from COP28. One was tripling renewable energy, the other was doubling energy efficiency. What we noticed, and that target was to go from 2 to 4%. After COP28, we noticed that on a global level, energy efficiency improvements were far below the expectations. Actually, they were below 2%, while the target was at 4%. While in the UAE, we had massive success. We were achieving our 4%, and at the same time, saving a lot of money. We decided in the ministry to actually taking a leading role, and we created GEA, Global Energy Efficiency Alliance. The idea was to get all the moving parts and the major players into one platform. We have governments, we have financial institutes, we have technology providers, we have academia, and we have non-profit organizations. The idea over here is the governments, especially those in the global south, are facing difficulties in terms of achieving what they had signed up for in COP28. So we bring them together with financial institutes that have green funds that they need to disperse. And we bring the technology providers that have the technologies that are AI-enabled, that can provide the solutions and the energy efficiency targets that they're looking for. Once you bring all of them together into one platform, you have a recipe for success. What we've been able to achieve in less than 1 year, we have over 50 governments, plus a number of financial institutes and technology providers in less than 1 year. Comparing it with other organizations that have had over 10 to 15 years, they have even half the number of governments enlisted. This shows the success of the idea. This shows the trust of different governments around the world in the UAE and what we can deliver.
It's remarkable. The UAE's vision combined with its execution has really created an outstanding environment. And if there is one lesson that other countries can take from the UAE's approach very quickly, what would it be?
3, first, we focus on diversification. You have to diversify your sources of energy. Second, we believe in efficiency. Efficiency is the cheapest, fastest, and most scalable solution. Third, partnership. Without the right partners, you can never deliver this.
Diversification, efficiency, and partnership. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us at the Building the Future Summit. Thank you.
Talk about efficiency. It's exactly 0 minutes.